it's my pleasure to introduce Deb Cheney. Deb Cheney is a native of Van Buren, Ohio. She received her degree in elementary education at the University of Findlay and her master's degree in elementary administration at the University of Dayton. She joined the Waterville Rotary Club in the fall of 2004 and was named the principal of the Waterville Primary School in the Anthony Wayne District. She was president of the club during 2012-2013. She was instrumental in forming the Interact Club at the Anthony Wayne High School and is the advisor of the club. She remains the advisor of that club, and it is a very large club, almost 300 members. Deb is an elementary teacher for over 20 years and an elementary principal for 10 years. She supervised student teachers 5 years. Deb is very dedicated to Rotary and to Interact. She chaired the Pancake Supper Committee, the Student of the Month program, and the Social Committee for the club. She was the AG for the Assistant Governor for Area 3 for 3 years. She's a trustee of the Dove Fund, a member of the Waterville Community Church. She has also been a very active volunteer in things other than Rotary, including being a volunteer at the Ronald McDonald House of Northwest Ohio. I think I'd like to mention too that yesterday afternoon, evening, Deb was making milkshakes at the Williams County Fair. She and her husband Chris have been married for 6 years and live in Waterville, but spend a lot of time traveling to Michigan, Charleston, Chicago, Indianapolis to visit their children and 2 grandsons, Blake and Landon. She enjoys baking, traveling, walking, and gardening. Please stand and join me in greeting District Governor Deb Cheney.
Dwight for the introduction, and a huge thank you to Michelle and your board for meeting with me before the meeting. And they came early. I know everybody had to leave work a little early, so I am very grateful and thank you for coming and meeting with me this morning. As Dwight said, I am Deb Cheney from Waterville. I am very excited to be here today. I loved that school building when I came into town. That is absolutely gorgeous. I'd love to get a tour of it sometime. It's beautiful. Well, as some of you have heard and seen on the banners, our theme this year for Rotary is making a difference. But I added a little sports twist, and I was glad when I heard somebody mention Indians, so I know you guys are Indians fans. So I added a little sports twist to my theme, to working together as a team, we can make a difference. I kicked off the theme at PETS, President-elect Training, in March with your President, Michelle, and I'm going to continue the theme through May at our district conference, which is going to be a sports theme. More to talk about that in a little bit. The reason I chose this theme is because we don't work individually in Rotary. We work together as a team. We wouldn't get anything done if we tried to accomplish everything all by ourselves or even as single clubs. So I'm here today as your head coach, your cheerleader. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm just here to encourage you and cheer you on. And I hope, Michelle and the board, that you felt that way today at the board meeting, that I was just here to support you and give you ideas. During PETS, we give the presidents all the skills they need. I call it a playbook. And same with during the assembly, we give your board all the skills they need so that we have a successful season. And as any team does before a game or before they start working out, they do a little warm-up, right? So I want to kick off my theme today here in Hicksville with a little warm-up. So would everybody stand up for push-ups? No, please stand up. Please stand up. I promise it's not hard. I promise. Okay, give you a little chance to stretch out. So my warm-up is this. If you have been in Rotary for less than a year, you can sit down. Less than a year. Okay. If you've been in Rotary for less than 2 years, you can sit down. Wow. Okay. Less than 5 years, you can sit down. Okay, I've got a couple less than 5. Less than 10 years, you can sit down. Now you have to start counting, everybody. Less than 15 years, you can sit down. Okay. Less than 20 years, you can sit down. Okay, I'm going to stop right here. Let's give this group, which I call my varsity squad, a round of applause. But I have to ask, out of this varsity squad, raise your hand if you have perfect attendance. I'm not surprised. I knew there's always a couple in the house. Thank you very, very much. You can have a seat. We wouldn't be where we are today without that varsity squad, without you. You are the backbone to District 6600, Rotary International, and the Hicksville team. So we really appreciate everything you've done for our Rotary clubs. Now, those of you that were that less than 5 group, would you guys stand back up? The less than 5. Been in Rotary for less than 5. You probably figured out you are my junior varsity. You are the JV. What you do now will affect Rotary in the future. It'll affect what happens with our children and grandchildren. Because if we don't eradicate polio, look what the effect could be on our kids. So I really want to thank the JV too. And most importantly, I hope that the varsity and the JV, that you work together as a team so that you have a successful season. Not only this year, but in the future. So thank you, JV, too. Do you know that Team Rotary is 112 years old? Can you picture Paul Harris, the founder of Rotary, with his closest friends and business associates sitting around a table in Chicago discussing the creation of this amazing organization? Do you think they could have imagined that we would come this far to have a retired elementary teacher, retired principal, a former cheerleading advisor, a farmer's daughter from a very small community in Northwest Ohio as a district governor? What do you think, ladies? Do you think they ever imagined that would happen back in Chicago 112 years ago? I don't think so. So that makes me feel very honored and privileged to be your district governor, knowing where and how Rotary originated. As I've been out in the district for the last couple of years, several people have said to me, Deb, what's your story? They know I came from a small town, but what's your story? And as Dwight said, my story starts back in 2004 when I was interviewing for an elementary principal's position in Anthony Wayne. Now, I'm not sure if very many people know where Anthony Wayne is, but if this is Toledo, Anthony Wayne School District is like right here down at the bottom. We are White House, Monclova, and Waterville. In fact, I don't live very far from the Fallen Timbers Valley Field. So if that kind of tells you where I'm coming from. During my interview, before I go on, do I have any principals or superintendents here? Okay. When I was interviewing for my position, the superintendent said to me, Deb, you will be in Waterville Rotary. Waterville Rotary really wants a partnership with the school, and you're going to help do it. It was going to be part of my job. I kind of knew what Rotary was because my church in my hometown of Van Buren, we used to serve the Lions Club every month. But I didn't have any idea what was ahead of me and that I would end up being the district governor when I was interviewing for that position. The school Rotary plan was that a middle school principal, a junior high principal, and myself were going to rotate going to the meetings that we meet on Monday nights. My first impression of Rotary was quite interesting. Believe me, it was nothing like this. We met in the back of a very dark restaurant. I was the only woman. I'm pretty sure I was the youngest person in the crowd. I was very uncomfortable because I didn't know anybody. I just moved out there. I didn't know any of the businessmen or the history of Waterville. But I kept on going. Part of the reason, it was part of my job, but I kept on going. Things started to turn around when some of my parents of the Waterville students started joining the club. Most of them had kindergartners, so we had something to talk about, the kindergarten program, reading, and math. And if you know any teachers or principals, when it comes to education, we can talk and talk a lot. So things started turning around and I started making connections. I was able to help the club out. We do the 3rd grade dictionary project, and they could never figure out how many dictionaries to order when they had 3 primary buildings, White House, Monclova, and Waterville. But now they have Deb, so she can figure out how to get us the count for the 3rd grade dictionaries. We also have the Stride program, and the Stride speaker canceled out on them the night before, so they called Deb to talk about teaching. They always wanted the high school speech contest. I don't know if you guys do the high school speech contest, the 4-way test. They could never get anybody to participate. So they said, Deb, would you help us get someone to participate? It was that partnership that Waterville Rotary wanted that was starting to happen. And you probably figured out it wasn't very long before guess who was the only one going to Waterville Rotary? Deb. But as I became more comfortable with Rotary, I started to ask them to help me. For example, my teachers wanted a garden in the back of our property. It's called a land lab. Basically, it was just full of weeds. And the teachers wanted a garden back there. They even named it the Rotary 5 Census Garden. So I got them to help me build a wheel, and we planted it. It ended up being beautiful. Teachers loved it. But it was May, and guess where the teachers went? Summer vacation. So it was my Waterville Rotary friends that ended up taking care of the garden. That was okay. It lasted for several years, and now that I'm retired, I don't know what's happened to the garden, but we don't talk about it because they don't want to have to weed it anymore. Also, during that time, my school counselor came up to me, and she wanted to investigate getting a therapy dog for our primary building. Does any of the schools here have a therapy dog in the schools or assisted living? Okay, well, she wanted to do some more research about getting a dog for our school. So after checking into it, I went to Waterville Rotary, and I asked them to help sponsor Sarah, the therapy dog. I will never forget what happened after that meeting. A longtime Rotarian and former Anthony Wayne administrator came up to me, and he put his arm around me and he said, Deb, if you want a therapy dog for your school, go for it. We will support you. We will do whatever it takes so that you can get your dog. It was then that I knew Rotary was my place to be, and I knew then I was a Rotarian. By the way, Sarah turned 10 last October, so we got our dog, and she's the best thing that ever happened to Waterville Rotary and Waterville Primary School. But sadly, not long after that, Mark stopped coming to Rotary and passed away. So in memory of Mark, we formed the Mark Knurr Scholarship Fund, and it still supports Sarah. It supports our Students of the Month at the high school and some scholarships in the spring. So I like to look at it as Mark Knurr lives on through Sarah, and I wouldn't be where I am today without Mark. So I'm deeply honored to have known him. And I don't mean to be a little bit of a downer here, but a couple months after that, my first husband, Mike, passed away after battling a year fight with heart disease. I wouldn't have made it through that time without my Waterville Rotary family. I looked forward to having dinner with them every Monday night. They took care of me when my car broke down, when my furnace needed a new filter. They were wonderful. They were my family. So I'll always treasure my Waterville Rotary. I also used that time to get more involved in Rotary because I had a lot of free time. That's when I went on and agreed to co-chair that pancake supper, the Student of the Month, the four-way speech contest. I did everything I could do to support and encourage Rotary in the Anthony Wayne community. They were my family, just like I can tell you guys are family. And after I retired from Waterville Primary is when I agreed to be their president. And I remained very involved in the school and the high school, and that's how, like Dwight said, I was able to form the Anthony Wayne Interact, because a lot of those seniors I had as kindergartners at Waterville Primary. We ended the club last year at 216, and today we had way over that at our first meeting this morning. So it was standing room only, so I'm very excited to get started on a new year with my Interact. And as Dwight said, you figured out I've been married to Chris for 6 years. I did meet Chris, and he is my biggest backer and cheerleader when it comes to Rotary and supports me in every way. So I appreciate Chris being my support system. During my year as president is when I became more involved in the district leadership, and I agreed to be an AG like Dwight. I was AG for Area 3, which is up around the Toledo area, and I was approached to run or interview for to be the district governor. It's an interview process that you go through. And I said no, and I was approached a couple more times and I said no. But then one night at a Christmas party, I was surrounded by several past district governors and some wine, and here I am today. So, yeah, they tricked me, I think. During my time at learning to be and all the training that you go through to be a district governor, I've had lots of questions about the structure of Rotary. So the teacher in me, I brought a prop, and I want to just do, and I'm so glad that the guys are here too, just a little bit of history lesson on the structure of Rotary. And I'm going to use a megaphone. So this small end right here, this is the club end. This is where all the work gets done, in my opinion, when it comes to Rotary. This is where you plant the trees. This is where you make the milkshakes. All those different things that you do for the Halloween and for the Christmas, all of those things gets done at the club level. There are 63 clubs in our district, and we're in District 6600. Again, a lot of work goes in at the district level. We really need to work as a team here, clubs going together on district projects, grants, service projects, raising money at the district level. There are 16 districts that go together to form a zone. I don't know if you've ever heard of zone, but we're in zone 29. The zone is where they do the training. That's where I was trained. You go once a year to be trained. The district foundation chair, the district membership chair are all trained at zone. There are 34 zones that go together to form Team Rotary International. Altogether, there are 34,282 zones. There are 34 zones. There are 34,282 clubs in the world with 1.2 million Rotarians. And we have taken an upturn that we are growing. Our head coach, the president of Rotary International, is Ian Risley. He and his wife Juliet are from Australia. They're very passionate about Rotary. They love music. They have a great sense of humor. Ian's passion or his strength is on environment, and Juliet, her strength and her passion is literacy. So you'll see that coming out in the rest of my presentation and with what I talked with your board about. Coach Ian has given me 3 tasks that he wants me to work on or train you in this year. And the first task is that I am here to support and strengthen my clubs. And I hope that Michelle and the board felt that you have my support this year. And part of the ways that we are working on strengthening our clubs is by earning the presidential citation, which is a good thing. And Michelle and your board are on track to get the presidential citation because she put her goals in Rotary Club Central, and you're all working together towards the same goals. The second thing I'm supposed to work on is to enhance our public image and the awareness of Rotary. That's why I go home every night and I post on Facebook all the wonderful things I see the clubs doing. I've even learned how to boost on Facebook so that you see the same things more often, and how to put things on Instagram. Also on the district website, we're trying to make that look like we are people of action, so people know what kind of projects Rotary is involved in. And the third thing is that humanitarian service that I was talking about. Ian wants us all to plant a tree this year. We need to continue our efforts on polio. That's why we have the mascot, which goes along with the theme, that every penny counts, any little bit of change counts towards ending polio. And by the way, Bill Gates at the International Convention in Atlanta, he promised us another $1.3 billion towards ending polio. So we have 9 cases this year. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but it's still too many. We have to get it down to 0 and 0 for 3 years before it's eradicated. So we're going to continue the fight. That's what we need to focus on this year. As a teacher, when I had a topic that I wanted to focus on or something I wanted to talk to my students about, I would get their interest or stir their interest by reading them a book. So you're probably not surprised that I want to read you a book today. I will not have you come up and sit down on the floor like first graders crisscross applesauce like I used to do, but I do want you to listen to a children's book. But this book is about Rotary, in my opinion. It's called What Do You Do With an Idea? One day I had an idea. Where did it come from? Why is it here? I wondered, what do you do with an idea? And I'm sure as Rotarians, you've all had great ideas. At first, I didn't think much of it. It seemed kind of strange and fragile. I didn't know what to do with it, so I just walked away from it. I acted like it didn't belong to me. But it followed me. And I have to tell you, I don't sleep much because I have ideas spinning around in my head all night long. I wondered what others would think. What would people say about my idea? So I kept it to myself. I hid it away and I didn't talk about it. I tried to act like everything was the same as it was before my idea showed up. But there was something magical about my idea. I had to admit, I felt better and happier when my idea was around. It wanted food, it wanted to play. Actually, it wanted a lot of attention. It grew bigger and we became friends. I showed it it to other people even though I was afraid of what they would say. I was afraid that if people saw it, they would laugh at it. I was afraid they would think it was silly. And many of them did. They said it was no good. They said it was too weird. They said it was a waste of time and that it would never become anything. And at first I believed them. I actually thought about giving up on my idea. I almost listened to them. But then I realized, what do they really know? This is my idea, I thought. No one knows it like I do. And it's okay if it's different or weird or maybe even a little crazy, like my piggy. I decided to protect it, to care for it. I fed it good food. I worked with it. I played with it. But most of all, I gave it my attention. My idea grew and grew, and so did my love for it. I built it a new house, one with an open roof where it could look up at the stars, a place where it could be safe to dream. I liked being with my idea. It made me feel more alive, like I could do anything. It encouraged me to think big and then to think bigger. It shared its secrets with me. It showed me how to walk on my hands. Because it said, and this is my favorite line to us as Rotarians, it is good to have the ability to see things differently. I couldn't imagine my life without it. Then one day, something amazing happened. My idea changed right before my very eyes. It spread its wings, took flight, and burst into the sky. I don't know how to describe it, but it went from being here to being everywhere. It wasn't just a part of me anymore. It was now a part of everything. And then I realized, what do you do with an idea? You change the world. You make a difference, just like we are doing in Rotary. So, for the last couple of years since I found out I was going to be the district governor, what ideas or dreams have been chasing me around, like in the book? Well, one of the things that's been chasing me around, and I shared it with your board, is on World Polio Day, October 24th, I'd like to have pizza for polio. Everybody go to a pizza place or buy pizza that day. All the pizza restaurants have flyers on their boxes that say Hicksville Rotary on it. So the people in our community are aware that it's Rotary that have been responsible for eradicating polio. So that's one dream I've been having. Another dream idea is I would love every club in our district to have youth exchange students, just like we have today. So it's perfect you guys are here. And most importantly, I'm not only glad that they're here, but I hope that you will take advantage of them and use them as speakers, and that other clubs in the area will call on these boys to come and be speakers, because they are wonderful ambassadors, not only for their schools, their communities, but for Hicksville Rotary and Hicksville Schools. So that was one thing, and you guys are making it come true for me. Another dream is the teacher in me, those little free libraries that a lot of the communities have that look like birdhouses that you put books in, and that kids or adults can come and borrow and share a book. I'd love to see those all over our district. Like I said earlier, we have Interact and Rotaract clubs in our district. Not only do I want to visit all my Rotary clubs, but I also want to visit the Interact and the Rotaract clubs. I am so glad that I see faces here today that I recognize, because another goal of mine is to get more people from the clubs involved in the district level and in district leadership. Like you had Susan and we've got Dwight here. The more people that we get involved in Rotary, coming to the assemblies and the international conventions, and they see the whole picture about Rotary, the more involved we'll get in our communities. At the end of this season, at the end of the year, we're going to have our district conference in downtown Toledo at the brand new Renaissance Hotel. We're going to go to a ball game on Saturday night, set up in the rooftop and enjoy the game, fireworks, and the band together. You guys will be there, I promise. So it's going to be a great time. But more importantly than my dreams are, what dreams or ideas do you have for Team Hicksville? What skills could you bring your team that could help pull up your team to success? Do you have skills that could help your membership committee climb the wall to increase membership? Don't just sit on the bench this year. Share your ideas and your skills with Coach Michelle and your board. Your coach has been working really hard this year. She came to Pets. She's done everything that she needs to do to have a successful season, and I'm very proud of her. And I hope you'll be her biggest backer and supporter and give her all the cheers and support she needs. Our district is great because of the players on our team, like the players from Hicksville, the players from Bryan, the players from Stryker. All of these teams go together to make a great district. And I'm here to support you and cheer you on, and thank you for everything you've done for Rotary, for Hicksville, and for District 6600. Together, we can make a difference. Thank you so much for your attention. Thank you.